What's up guys, today I'm going to show you exactly how to make and publish your very own book through Amazon KDP. Now I personally love Amazon KDP as a side hustle because honestly you just have to put in the work once and you make pretty good passive income. I'm not saying you're going to be rich at all, but today is November 3rd and I'm already up to $86. My top selling book is a Marine Corps coloring manual. I think that got a big spike in sales because I made a TikTok video about it, talking about it, advertising on my own social medias a little bit. I sold 13 units today. That's pretty good. But just to give you an idea about how much I make, let's see. Last month I made $197, 100% passive income. I just submitted my books a few months ago, and this is without any ads, just maybe me talking about it on social media every once in a while, having the links in my bio. $197 is pretty good just for sitting around and doing nothing, I personally think. So my biggest advice, you can write about anything you want. You can write a novel, you can write a kid's book, you can write log books, you can do whatever you want and publish it to Amazon KDP. My biggest advice is stick to a niche. My top selling book is this Marine Corps coloring manual because I think it's more of a gag gift. I was in the Marines. People love buying Marine Corps stuff, especially if it's for a friend or someone who just got out of boot camp. It's kind of an inside joke that Marines like to color and eat crayons. So that's kind of what I was going with here. Also, my second bestseller is the Bedtime at the Fire Station. So I'm a firefighter. That's a certain theme. People love firefighters. They love buying stuff for their kids that are about firefighters. So these two books are my top selling books. So today we're going to stick to this Marine Corps coloring manual theme. So let's get into it. The first thing you're going to want to do before designing anything, before writing anything, is you're going to want to go to KDP Amazon Cover Calculator to get an idea exactly what size you need. If you are editing it in Canva or anything else, you don't want to have all these designs in the wrong size, and then when you go to resize it, it messes everything up. So let's go to building type. We are doing paperback. You can do hardcover, but it's going to make the book a little bit more expensive. And I try to have more competitive prices because honestly, your book is going to be buried in the internet for a long time. You might not make any sales for a while because you have 0 stars when you first publish it. There's a lot of really popular authors, really good books out there. So you want to have your price as competitive as possible. So I'm doing paperback and we're going to do black and white. We want white paper, left to right, inches because we are American, and the trim size, you can do whatever you want here. The pricing does change a little bit depending on your trim size. I personally like 6x9. It's a small coloring book, but I think it looks better and it's just really easy and you can make the price pretty competitive. So we're gonna do 6x9. And then here, I already know how many pages I have. It's 26. You can come back later and change this. But the important part is when you go to edit your book, you're gonna create a PDF either through Canva or wherever you want. And you wanna make sure that the size is right. So for the cover, it's gonna be 12.309 inches by 9.25 inches. And the spine for paperbacks doesn't really matter, but here is just your safe area, your bleed, your margins. It just gives you a good idea of how to design your book. So now that we have our sizes, we are going to go here and do custom size. I've got 6x9. This is how I do it. You can design your book any way you want, but I go through Canva. I think it's really easy. And for me, just to give you an idea, I've already went through and made this last night. I will have my image and then a bleeder page because if it's coloring book, you don't want it to bleed through onto the next image. So this book specifically, I'm making it more of a logbook coloring book style. So that's kind of why I added these lines here, just to kind of add to the joke because, you know, Marine Corps, when they're on duty, you have a logbook you have to write. So it's just kind of, it might hit, it might not, this might be a dumb idea, but this is what I'm doing for now for this book. But let me show you how to design an image. You can go into stock images, you can get your own thing. You can even ask AI nowadays to create line art. I don't recommend it 100% because AI is not very consistent. There's a lot of weird wonky things. You can try it if you want. Also, another thing is a lot of people get very frustrated when they see AI stuff. They think it's AI slop. And, you know, that's just the world we live in. Like it or not, I think people are going to appreciate a more handmade approach, but I'm not the biggest artist. So you can add lines like this and create your own theme. So there's a bunch of different ways. I've done it where I've traced it myself through my iPad. I'll have the image and then I turn up the opacity and then you can literally trace it on Procreate and then you take that traced image and you throw it into Canva, and that's your line art. That's your personal one that you made. I've also done it where you go and find free stock images that are line art, and it just happens to be the perfect theme. That one's a little bit more of a scavenger hunt approach because, like I said, I think it's important you have a consistent type of style throughout your book if you're going to do the coloring book approach. So I'll show you right now exactly what I'm talking about. Go to stock images. You can look up line art that's already made. This is perfect for coloring books. This is just an example. This is not the theme I want, but just to give you an example, this would be great for a coloring book. And then you add this into your paper and you can add little things around it to make a scene, like you add clouds or anything like that. And I'll show you how to do that. I really like this guy. This looks like exactly the type of artwork I'm looking for, but I hate his smile. That's a weird face right there. So I don't think I'm going to use him either. But for the sake of this video, I think I'm just going to go with this guy, even though this is not the theme I want for my book. I just want to show you guys how you can do it. So like I said, these were free images, and you can download them and just use them at your will. So I take this guy, and you can do different things. Sometimes if he has stuff on there that I don't like, I'll take it into Photoshop and I'll do some stuff, or I'll put it on my iPad and make my own lines and stuff like that. You can do that and make it more of your own style. But if you just want, something simple that you just want people to draw. So for coloring books or any kind of book really, you can have your image go all the way to the edge, but you have to select certain bleeding options when you upload it to Amazon, or else they will reject it. For this image, I'm just going to make sure that it's well within the margins. Plus, when you're making coloring books anyways, it gets awkward coloring right on the edge. So you want to give them some space, as well as you want to give them a border, at least in my opinion. So I go over to tools over here, and I'll make a square. I'll just put it right around him and then make my lines just like at a one level. All right. So now I have my image with a border around it. Also, if I wanted to add a little bit more to the theme, I could search up like clouds. So let's go over to shapes, and then we have our cloud right here. And then of course we don't want it already filled in because this is a coloring book. So we're gonna hit no color, and then it disappears. So we have to go to stroke style and give it, we don't want it like a super thick line. So we're just gonna do a 1, and then we can duplicate that a few times and throw that over there, make it different sizes, all while keeping it within this border. You don't want it halfway out. And then we're going to go and search some grass so it doesn't look like he's floating in midair. So we got some grass right here, and it's green, and we want everything black and white. So you just come up here and change the color to black. So it's a lot easier if you have an iPad, because you can just draw the line behind him to give it some more depth, so it doesn't look like he's just floating in midair. But what we can do is we can kind of just add some grass, maybe duplicate this a few more times. Like, you just got to mess around with it, make it make sense in my head. But here's some examples that I've already made. Again, this is just free artwork that I found on websites like these, where you can download them and use them. And then I went into my iPad and into Procreate, and I just kind of add the little background like that. And that takes a little bit more time, but just to give you an idea, there's fast ways to do it, and there's more detailed ways that you can do it. Now I have to make my cover. You remember the size that we calculated for this specific book is 12 inches by 9 inches. We go back to Canva, resize it to that specific size, 12.309 by 9.25. So for my cover, I used AI to help me out. I went and used this first page. I really like this guy. And I said, hey, make this a little bit more colorful. It came back with this, but I had to do some tweaking. I had to take it into Photoshop. It misspelled Marines. It was all weird. I had to erase some stuff and put my own thing. But basically, it came out with this, and I really liked it. So I threw that on there and then added my title. And this will be the back half of your book. You got to think of this as completely folded out. So this is the back half of the book. You can put whatever you want. Because it's a coloring book, I'm not going to put like the details or the description in the back. And once you do that, you go back into Amazon KDP and you upload your manuscript and your cover, and you are going to create a new title or series. These are titles that I've had in the past. You can edit it later on. You can change the price, whatever you need to do. And this is the book I've already made. So we are in the middle of setting it up. Okay, so once you have your book all prepped, you're going to have your title. You don't have to have a subtitle, but sometimes I do. Do your author or any people that helped out. And then you just go in and write a description. And then you're just like, you hold the necessary publishing rights because you used free stock images or whatever it is for your book. You're not using Disneyland in your title. So you're going to do that. Or if it's public domain, again, that's a realm that I don't really know about, but you can look into that if it's public domain work. And it is not sexually explicit. And then you're going to select an age range. For this one, you know, it's a coloring book. Kids can use it, but it's also mostly, I want my target mostly to adults. It's an adult coloring book. So I just did 13 to 18 plus. And then the categories, you're going to want to select the certain kind of category that your book is in. So mine is coloring books for adults. That's the category I have. It's a humorous one, or then I also have just a general coloring book. And you're going to select large print book for coloring books. And then you're going to select some keywords. So I did Marine Corps coloring book, funny military gifts, boot camp humor. You're going to release it for sale now. Then you're going to hit continue. And then because this is not a low content book, if it was like a log book, you would not get an ISBN number. But because it is, Amazon will assign you your free ISBN number that goes on the back of the book with the barcode. So you're going to select exactly what you selected over here, or else it's not going to print right. So we had black and white interior. You can do with cream paper if you want, but it's probably going to be more expensive. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. And then our size. And then we did bleed PDF. And then you can choose if you want it glossy or matte. I actually don't know if it changes the price or not. I'm going to hit matte because that's just the vibe I want to go for. And then you're going to upload your manuscript. That is the PDF file that you just downloaded through Canva or whatever you did for your book. And then you can have Amazon create the own cover, but they're pretty weird looking covers. They're very generic. This part messes me up so many times. I've uploaded so many covers that are not the exact right size, and I have to redo it and redo it and redo it. So just make sure you have it the exact size that you had calculated. This part is really easy to mess up. And then for this part, they're just collecting information through AI. I used ChatGPT for that first cover a little bit. So I'm going to hit none on the text because I didn't use AI for text. So I'm going to use images because I had AI help me out with that first cover, even though I had to edit it and everything like that. AI still generated it. So you're going to hit one or a few AI generated images with extensive editing, which is what I did. And then you go into launch previewer. We want to make sure that everything extends past the white line. And this would be kind of the same type of thing if you wrote like a kid's book with you had your text on one side and then you had your image on the other. And then if it was the same thing like a novel or anything like that, you would have your text on both sides, and you just want to make sure that your texts aren't bleeding over or are too close to the spine. And then it will show you your printing costs for each currency. This is going to cost $2.30 per book. You save and continue. And then you would come down here and answer a few of these questions. I just do all territories. So for the most part, here's how much it costs to print. And then of course, Amazon takes a cut because they have to print it and ship it, and then it will show your royalty. So the only reason why I'm charging this at $17.75 is it's mostly of a test. It's a gag gift. That's the Marine Corps birthday, $17.75. So I just wanted to see what it would do. Normally I have it bare minimum where I'm just making $1 or $2 for profit, because you're gonna have 0 stars. So it's gonna be buried underneath a lot of different books, a lot of famous authors, a lot of books that have high star ratings. But you can always raise your price if you get a bunch of stars later. If it's a big hit, you can always raise it. And you might never sell the book. I have plenty of books that have never made a sale. So just keep playing around with it. You'll find the book that really works for you. And then you can request a author copy where they will just charge you the printing cost. So for this book, it's $2.30. You might also have to pay for shipping if you don't have Amazon Prime, and we'll see how it does. In 72 hours, we will see if it's approved or not. Mostly they get approved unless you mess something up really, really bad. And you can also turn it into an ebook copy. Obviously, I'm not going to do this for a coloring book, but that's a whole nother process. You have to download a separate app and you convert it into a special file. It's kind of a pain, but it's doable. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Take a look, Marine Corps coloring and logbook. And I hope this video was useful. I wish you the best of luck out there with your future books. If you want to drop the title of your book in the comment section below, feel free to use my comment section as free advertising. It'll help you out and it'll help me out. And maybe I'll see you out there on Amazon. Thanks.